Greetings, beloved. Welcome back to Mugi's Corner. I am your host, Mugi, and thank you for joining us in yet another conversation right here on the channel. In today's sit-down conversation, I'm with a teacher of history, and we're going to be talking about the Bantu. So, if you're interested in learning or understanding who the Bantu are, this is one for you. So, I'm going to introduce my brother, Teacher Benjamin. Greet the viewers.
All right, good morning to all of the viewers. I'm Teacher Benjamin here, and I teach in St. James Secondary School. I teach history, basically O level and A level. So today we are going to basically focus and look at the Bantu, get to know who the Bantu are and the different types of the Bantu, and basically the areas that they were able to settle when they came into East Africa.
So, to give you some context or insight into the discussion, right? We are going to discuss to understand through Mr. Benjamin who the Bantu are, their migration, and their characteristics in terms of their tradition and culture. Okay, so if we may start, I want to pose a question to you, Mr. Benjamin. Who are the Bantu?
All right. Okay, thank you for that question. Of course, we have been always asking, and many people have always been wondering who the Bantu are. But okay, for the viewers and for those ones listening to us, I want to take this time to explain to us more about the Bantu and who they are. Of course, when we look at the Bantu, they say that the term Bantu means Muntu, which is a person. So the word Bantu is a plural form that comes from Muntu, meaning a person, and now the plural form means people. So therefore, in this case, for us to be able to understand who the Bantu are, we basically say that the Bantu are a group of people who speak closely related languages. In some other books, like when you look at in the book of Basil, that is the civilization of East Africa and Africa, is defined by the Bantu as a linguistic group of people who speak closely related languages. So when you look at the Bantu, all the people that belong to that group of the Bantu, though they speak different languages, but there are some words that are closely related to each other. That's why now when you look at in Uganda, the different groups like the Baganda, the Banyoro, and all that, they may speak different languages, but they are able to understand one another because there are some words that they get which are in the other one, and they keep connecting. So that's why we say that these are basically people who speak closely related languages, though they may not be the same language. So yeah, that is basically the Bantu and our own. So of course, before you get to know who are, where they belong and all this, I think it's better to first make one understand that.
So we see Bantu tribes, or tribes described as being Bantu tribes, and according to your explanation, is they speak a language that is closely related. All right. Now they are scattered according to the migration rule, which we will touch on in a moment.
Yeah.
They are scattered in different parts of Africa, even outside Africa,
Even
right?
outside Africa.
From what I understand, they are in India, Pakistan, and maybe several other parts. Now, do we see these languages really translate into that which you're talking about, having words that are related, or languages being related, so that when a certain person belonging to a tribe of the Bantu speak, another will understand, or will do we see that translating into a reality that a Bantu in South Africa, when they speak, some of the words are prevalent among the Bantu in Central Africa?
All right, thank you for that. Okay, I want to take this. Of course, we have been saying that when you look at the Bantu, they have similar words, and that's why we the most explanations, basically people say that they have the N word nuntu. In most of the words that they speak, basically they have that word nuntu in almost all of them. And maybe like I said in the previous time, I said that when we give an example of Uganda, we have different societies that belong to the Bantu community. That's why we say the Baganda, the Banyoro, the Toro, the Bagisu, the Basoga, and all this. And if one may say, if one from Busoga or Busoga goes to Bunyoro, definitely, of course, the people of Bunyoro talk Toro. These are Banyoro as their language. But at least when someone from Busoga goes there, is able to pick something. Though he may not be able to speak the actual language those people are speaking, but he's able to pick some other words, and you can be able to get to know maybe what they are trying to mean by a given what? By a given word they are talking of. But I cannot say for now, maybe if the Bantu from Uganda goes to maybe South Africa or what, we may be able to, but we say that they will almoys have some close words. And though one may not be able to get the whole thing, maybe out of a whole sentence, but is able to pick a given word which he can be able to maybe the person is asking for this and that, or maybe someone means this and that. May not be necessarily that you can get all the whole thing, but at least he can be able to have something which can help me more than the person who may be belonging to maybe the Luo or the Nilotes. So that is what we are talking of that.
Okay. So the name Bantu, we see it being used to refer to a group of people who speak a closely related language. What is the origin of the name Bantu? How did it come into, existence? Because some researchers say that it originates in Hebrew, where they give, a version of or an explanation to say that NTU means a person, and BA, to complete the word Bantu, is the plural form for NTU, Ntu, which means a person. What, according to the history books from which you teach, okay, according to the books, what is the origin, the origin of the name Bantu?
All right. Okay, thank you for that question. Because when you look at the origin of the word Bantu and maybe where it come from. Now, when you read the book of the history of East Africa by George Agaba, of course, he gives some explanation that the Bantu belong to the Negroes, which is the black race. Because when you look at the Negroes, it is a mixture of the black and basically the whites. So that's why we cannot basically explain where the Bantu originate from. But for him, he says they belong to a black race or the Negro race, where we cannot basically estimate where they migrated from. But that is what he gives us. That is something he gives, that they belong to the black or a Negro race, which is the black race. And of course, like we all know about the Negroes, when they talk of Negroes, it means that there's a mixture of some blacks and the whites. That's why we have always heard people say that the Bantu are scattered all over the world. Because, of course, given the mixture, now others were able to go to other countries, whereas now the Bantu we basically look at are the ones we talk of, the ones which are in Africa, scattered all over Africa, and in most cases, when you're talking of here in Uganda, we basically look at the Bantu within East Africa, but we have them all over the world.
So, what about their characteristics? We say organization. How are the Bantu organized in terms of social life, economic life, political, life as well as religiously? How are they organized?
So as far as the organization of the Bantu concerned, because like any other society, we say that the Bantu we organize politically, socially, and economically. Of course, when we talk of the political, we look at how administration was. So when you look at, in most cases, most of the societies of the Bantu had a centralized system of government, where they basically led by, or they were ruled by kings. It is only, when I read in some book, they said that it is only the Eastern Bantu who had a decentralized system of government. But they were not so much decentralized because for them they were led by chiefs. But in the other, but when you look at the case of the Western Bantu, the Southern Bantu, and all the other ones, they have what we call a centralized system of government, which is headed by the king.
Help us understand what you mean when you say the Eastern Bantu, Western Bantu, Southern Bantu.
Yeah, of course, like when I talk of the Eastern, the Western, the Central, of course we see that by the time the Bantu migrated into East Africa, they divided themselves into 4 groups. That is the Western, they call them the Western Bantu. There is what we call the Eastern Bantu. There is what we call the Southern Bantu, and we have then the Central Bantu. Of course, how someone would say, how were they able to get this? So when you look at all these other names, were got basically from the directions that they were able to use as they were entering into East Africa. That's why they were able to say the Central, the Eastern, the Western, and the Southern. So it is from the direction they were able to use.
So in essence, they use different directions while entering East Africa.
Yes.
And now, does this also speak to the fact that, or does this speak to a notion that Bantu did not originate in one place?
Yeah.
They originated in different places.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to their organization
Yeah, so
politically.
So I was saying politically they had basically a centralized system of government headed by the kings, and of course assisted by the chiefs. Also, when you look at the political life, when you look at basically the political life of the Bantu, we said almost all the societies of Bantu had what we call the standing armies, because these armies were basically used for purposes of defense. That's why now when we come to Uganda, we say that at that time of the Uganda, Bureau, they all almost had standing armies. That's why the armies were used for defense, and they were also used for raiding the neighbors. Then of course also within the life of the Bantu, we see that economically the Bantu used to do a lot of economic activities. But when you look at the commonest activity that almost all of them participated in was agriculture, where they grew crops. Because like we all know that they lived a settled kind of life. Then however much they could move from one area to another. But of course whenever they move to some area, they could settle there for somewhat time. And of course, given the settled life of life, they had to at least have some food. So that's why they basically carried agriculture so that they can have food. Then also we are saying that alongside the growing of crops, also some Bantu reared some animals, and basically they reared cattle. That's why now we are maybe seeing, that's why maybe some groups are still continuing to rear the animals. That's why now we see people of Ankole and others, Toro and others, still adapting that life of rearing animals. Then also we are saying that another way of life of the Bantu was they used to economically they could do iron smelting. So when we talk of the iron smelting, they could smelt some tools, because now, given the fact that they were agriculturists, therefore they needed to have some tools that they needed to use. And that's why we see that they could carry out iron smelting, where they could get to where they could make these other tools they could use in their farms. That's when they could get the pangas, the axes, and some hoes, which they could be able to use. Then of course also they say that some Bantu also got involved in other activities like mining, they could also do some other mining. Where of course that's why now, especially when you look at those other groups which were able to come and settle in areas of Lake Edward and then Albert, because they were able to take advantage of Lake Country and they started mining what? The salt. That's how we talk of, when we talk of the, after the establishment of the Euro Kingdom, we saw now that other, given the fact that they belong to Bantu, they now venture to mining of what? Salt, especially during the time of long distance what? Trade. Of course, as far as the cultures, of course, of the Bantu was concerned.
What about, in terms of economics, what about hunting?
Yeah, of course, when we hunting, okay, like, of course, we say that, of course, after them migrating into East Africa, we say that there are some groups that they were able to get where the Kushites were. And the life of the Kushites basically was hunt. They were hunters and food gatherers. So now some of them were also able to adapt the life of the Kushites.
So hunting is not seen as a major activity.
No, it wasn't so much of the major activity of the Bantu. Because at least for them, they had some sort of food. That's why they were not so much on what? Hunt. Yeah. So, of course, when you look at, I said, socially, because they so much, of course, they so much attached their things to culture. That's why we still see, even up to now, those groups of the Bantu that are in Uganda so much value their what? Culture. Because when we talk of culture, we look at basically things of language. They speak, of course, the native language. They call the local language. Basically, they encourage the use of local language. Of course, also within the culture, of course, when you look at the dressing code, of course, there's a special, of course, a unique kind of dressing that they always, those Bantu groups always. And of course, though they have different societies have adopted different dressing codes, but of course, you will see some unique dressing code among these, what? The Bantu. Then, of course, also, we are saying that socially, the Bantu are people who believe different, or they believe in many what? Many gods. Because like when you look at in the case of Euro, Uganda, we say that almost in every item they had is a given what? God. They had a god of rain, a god of wealth, everything. So even if like there's trouble, they had a given what? God for such trouble. So these are a group of people, you may not say that they believed in one God, only for them they believed in many what?
Multiple gods.
Yeah, they believe in multiple gods, you can say. So basically that is where a brief explanation about the social, the political and economic life of the Bantu. Though of course there were some other practices, but they were not so much common amongst all the groups.
Okay. Now,